with the 1992 GEO tractor. I guess this is going to be the first real video on it, so after this it's probably going to go away for the winter, just for the fact that these things suck in the snow and they rot out as soon as salt hits them, so there's no point in winter driving this. And of course it's a soft top, so what the hell's the point really putting this thing through winter? So it is quite windy today, so I do apologize. That flag I just noticed is rattling like crazy, so hopefully that's not going to be a big problem throughout the video. But I've put this off long enough, and I figured let's get a video of this thing out officially. So this is a 1992 GEO tracker, and I bought it back in August or so down in Virginia. So when you want to get a tracker, you got to pretty much go south if you want a rust-free one. They still have them up north and stuff, but for the most part, they're all rotted out, and they've been rotted out for like the last, I'd say 15 years easily, and they're still very expensive up north, even if they're rotted. So I went down south and paid $2,000 for this. It did need a new computer, so the fuel injection relay was off on this, so it ran like absolute crap. So I figured for $2,000 and it's say $150 in a new computer, let's give it a shot. And for the mere fact that this thing was just so cool, it had the 90s wheels on it, the 90s graphics. I just figured I would never find something like this again, and probably not. So I had to have it. It was just one of those things that I thought was so cool. And of course, I've done quite a few mods on it, since you guys have probably seen the first video on it, and we'll get to that in a second here. That is quite loud. But so what I basically did was, when I bought this, I had a car dolly with my Ford Escape, as you've probably seen in the last few videos on those parts trackers. There's a very good reason we needed some parts trackers. My dad and grandfather actually have two of these as well. They're a little bit more rugged and off-road worthy, but theirs are 4x4, and they wanted some parts for theirs, and I needed a few mechanical things. So we're gonna say, long story short here, I put it on a car dolly with the rear wheels down, which is really what the only thing I really could have done. I thought you could flat tow these with the transmission in neutral. I guess you cannot do that on these automatic transmissions. Some automatic trans you can, some you can't. Unfortunately, I toasted the trans on this thing by driving it 600 miles with no gears lubing, no oil lubing the gears. So unfortunately, I did lock the trans up, so that was very hard to live down. Thankfully, it's just a tracker. These things cost some loose change to buy for parts cars, so I paid about $400 for a parts car. And again, we got a bunch of parts off it, sold it for $200 in scrap, and the parts car I had basically a brand new rebuilt trans in it, and fortunately it was only a half hour away from my house. So I had my trans guy put a new trans in it, or he swapped the transes over, if you will. That was another $700. So if you want to say, we have probably $1,000 into a trans on this, which all things considering is not bad at all. And like I said, the trans that's in it right now is actually rebuilt, though it's starting to slip a little bit, so I don't know what's going on with it, but I might do a manual swap if it gets bad enough. But so long story short, guys, I bought this thing in the intentions of it needing a computer, and I ended up doing a lot more to it, a lot more damage to it. Fortunately, I kind of saw it was just such worthwhile to fix, and it was just so cool that I could still sell it and make my money off this thing. I could probably sell it and make a couple grand, honestly, up here. I've had a few people flag me down and just try to buy it from me. So it's a really very big eye catcher, especially up here up north. And, you know, size of a paint stripe and shit like that. But it's just very cool looking for a tracker. I think it's definitely it's got the cool factor over, you know, say a Jeep Wrangler, which is basically what I had a couple years ago. And it's so cheap to own, and, you know, whatever. So guys, I'll just quit rambling about the thing and why I'm trying to justify buying it. So we started basically, what have I done to it since I bought it? Aside from the trans, we put a soft top on it. I wanted some tinted soft top. The other one was okay, but it was just the glass was a little foggy and such, as they all get. So I bought this soft top with the window tint. These are kind of hard to find, so I had to kind of do some like deep research on these, and I was able to find the right one. That glass is actually like 10%, and I just had these windows tinted today. Those are 20%. So if you step back and look at it, it looks really cool. And the thing is, I wanted window tint because people always look at this thing when you're at the stoplights, and they just can't help but smile. And you're sitting in this thing with no window tint, and you're just like, how do I react to these people looking at this thing? So anyways, I got some tint on it, and it is very nice too. So also put these Bfg tires on it, these KO2s. Of course, it's two-wheel drive, so it's probably never going to see off-road, but, you know, just stepping back and looking at it, everything goes so well. These tires really do give it a very nice stand. stance. They are white letter, of course. You had to do that because it's from the 90s. And it's riding on these 3-spoke. I think these are Viper wheels, but these are ultra Viper wheels, I believe. So it's a very universal wheel for the time. I've actually seen quite a few 90s cars on Craigslist with these on. So they're not too exclusive, but they definitely look really cool with this one. So yeah, looking inside the wheel well, as you can see, everything's pretty much spotless. This thing is spotless, not one speck of rust on it. So I thought about putting like a small level kit on it, but I just don't think I'm going to mess with it. Maybe some new suspension, just because they ride as you would expect. But for a little city car, just something just to hop in and have some fun, it's definitely doable. And of course, we had to throw the another one on the spare tire as well. The one that was on this, the original, was actually from the factory, so that was all dry rotted anyhow. So I figured I'd throw one of these on the back, and it looks really cool. From one of the parts cars, I actually got a center cap off one of those parts cars, just to kind of finish off the rear end. So you have the kind of the GEO and whatnot back there. So it kind of ties it off real nice. And somebody finished these bumpers at some point in time with like some sort of really nice matte paint. So you know, it looks good. And then it occurred some dents over the years. I'll probably get those pulled at some point, but right now I've just been trying to fix the thing and drive it and enjoy it. There's a few other things I got off the parts cars. Back in 96 and up, they started putting these folding mirrors on. So I took the folding mirror off my 98 park car and put it on there just to give a little folding mirror. So stepping on over the interior, as you can see, I have not touched this interior. I haven't cleaned it or detailed it. As you can see, the speaker is out right here. The computer's dangling just because I'm trying to see if it runs good, which it has been for the last several months. Over winter, I'll probably just put this all back up when I have the time. So, see, I did have it rebuilt. So, all is well. It's just a little messy. Had to get to it. It's a GEO tracker, guys, so not really too much crazy stuff to go over here. The locking mechanism fell apart in here, so I can't really lock it. I cannot unlock it from the outside, but I can still lock that side and get in it through that way. But I don't even lock this thing. Like, what are you gonna steal? So, we'll step on in, start it up, and get all that jazz out of the way for you. You see, we have about 123,000 miles on it. If you want to get technical with it, it really only has like 122, maybe 121. I swapped the gauge cluster out with one that has a tach. I wanted to see where I was revving at on the freeway, and it was really cool that this tach that I bought online only had about 2,000 miles more than the tach or the cluster that I had originally without the tach. So it actually worked out really good. So like I said, it's got about 2,000 miles less or so, but I could really care less. It is a 5-digit odometer, so it really has, like I said, about 121,000 miles on it. And aside from being a 30-year-old car, it's not perfect. So, over here it's missing some things for the vents, and my parked car had one of these, but I tried to take it off and it fell apart. Again, it's 30-year-old plastic from General Motors, or maybe even Suzuki, if that's what this really is. So it fell apart, very brittle, kind of hard to work on because you don't want to break stuff. So when getting to that, I took the stock radio out because I absolutely needed Bluetooth. So I did break this bezel, and it's kind of chopped up. You can buy new ones online, but they're about $150, so not really worth it exactly. So the bezel's a little cracked up in the vents. They're not exactly perfect, but aside from that, it's very well put together. So yeah, the soft top up here. The original visors that were on it were all sun faded, and they were all saggy. So out of the tracker, the 98 tracker, I think I had airbags in it. So these were a direct swap over. So the irony in this is that you don't actually have airbags, but it's showing you have airbags. So these visors were in far better shape, and they both have mirrors on them. So obviously, to open the roof, there's the latch right there, and then a latch over there. It's cold today, so we're gonna leave it shut. But yeah, new top. Heat works really good. It's got a Bluetooth radio. Fun fact, this radio is actually out of my 2002 Ford Focus from like 2014. So this radio has just been sitting on idle for like the last 7 years. So I finally found a use for it. And there's some wiring running over there for the subwoofer I put in. I'll show you guys that. If you guys have been at the channel, like since I first started making car videos, my 02 Taurus I had a subwoofer in it. So I put a subwoofer down there. That was the same subwoofer from my Taurus, the Kenwood. like I said, I bought some wiring online and hooked it up, and it worked. So I took some speakers out of the parts cars as well. So I have basically, between the two parts cars we had brand new speakers in them. So I have brand new speakers basically in the whole car with the subwoofer. So you have a 5-speaker sound system, and you know, for what it is, it sounds pretty good. So I know a lot of people cut like big holes in these and put 6x8 speakers in their trackers, but that's just insanely gaudy. So we're not going to do that. But you know, it's got new speakers throughout. So there's basically what they look like. So so yeah, guys, even the back seats put together. But like I said, I've been kind of trashing this thing and just driving it. It needs a good clean out. But yeah, another fun little fact with this car: it's got an ashtray there. It's got another ashtray on the other side. Ashtray down there, and this cup holder thing, and another ashtray right there. So you have 4 ashtrays in this very small cube. Took these cup holders out of another parts car and gave myself cup holders. So this did not have cup holders originally. So that's another cool little thing that, you know, when you're buying a parts car, you can kind of pick little things off like that. We'll pull the hood latch here. Hood latch is in the glove box. Give a little rev, I guess. So it's an 8-valve motor. It's got like 24 horsepower. So did paint the wiper blade arms on it as well. So it's not fast, but it's just fun to drive. Look under the hood. The previous owner maintained this thing really good, I have to say. It's got a brand new timing belt. Everything's brand new on this as far as tune-up stuff goes. I did run it through a mud hole, so it's a little dirty, but I'll detail that probably in the wintertime once time permits. But yeah, guys, looking at it, this is the tracker. It's up and running. It's been up and running, but you know, it's got a fresh oil change on it, so it's just been a good little car. I think I have a vacuum leak somewhere. It's developed a small vacuum leak, so it does idle kind of funny at times. Don't think if I'll try to track it down, but the goal here was to get this car up and running and driving and just enjoying it. So we'll continue this next year, I guess. So as usual, guys, thanks for watching. We'll talk to y'all later.